Thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this online meeting. Please join me in welcoming our Toastmaster today, Xavier.
Thank you, Hassan, for the warm welcome, and welcome to all of our Toastmasters friends. Looks like everyone has some experience with both Toastmasters and our online platform through our, I guess, almost 7 or 8 weeks of Corona now, which makes a really good theme for today, which is creativity. And the question that I've kind of posed to everyone that I'll be introducing and have posed to myself is, how have you been creative during this time of Corona? And for me, I've gotten the chance to do some 3D printing in addition to 3D printing as a job for a startup. I do it as a hobby too, and have painted some things. And Teacher, can you enable screen sharing? If I can, I'm gonna show you something that I've made.
I can make you the co-host. Just give me a minute.
I'll do. So,
you can do it now.
All right. So this is probably the coolest thing that I've made over break, and it ended up being a birthday present for one of my friends, and our third member of our startup. Yeah. So doing stuff like that has kept me creative during this time. But Toastmasters is not about that. It's about public speaking. And for that, we have 3 different sections to help us with that. The first is a prepared section, where we have 2 prepared speakers for tonight delivering. The second one is table topics, where anybody can come up and do an unprepared speech. And then the third section is evaluations, where our speakers will get evaluated and our meeting as a whole. And to help us with our meeting as a whole, we have 3 functionaries, a timer, a grammarian, and an odd counter. And first, I'd like to introduce our timer, Sarah Francis.
Hello, friends. I am reviving my previous timing aids. So the speeches today are 5 to 7 minutes, unless I hear otherwise. At 5 minutes, I will show you the Green Dragon book. At 6 minutes, I will show you the Yellow Happiness book. And at 7 minutes, I will show you the Red Love book. And you will have 30 seconds to wrap up your speech.
Thank you. Next up, we have a grammarian, Deborah.
Hi, everyone. So today I will be looking for excellent uses of grammar, along with areas of growth where grammar may or may not have been used well. So I'll be keeping an ear out for that. But to introduce our word of the day, the word of the day is muse. And it means a person or personified force is a source of inspiration for a creative artist. Frankly, my muse is Leslie Knope. I love Leslie Knope.
Okay. And last but certainly not least, because she keeps us honest, our odd counter, Chitra.
Hi, everybody. Today I'll be keeping track of the filler words you've been using in your speeches, and I'll give you a result of it. Thank you.
Now to explain what our first speaker's project is all about, our first speaker will be Bhakti, and evaluating her is Hassan. Can you explain her speech?
Hello, everybody. Bhakti is working on the presentation mastery pathway, and she is going to deliver her second speech of the evaluation feedback project of level 1. And the purpose of the speech is to incorporate evaluation that she received from the previous speech. And what she should do today is to improve the pacing, because last time she delivered a speech, she was moving fast from right to left, and also have a better use of the pauses. So I look forward from hearing from her. I look forward to hearing from her.
The title of Bhakti's speech will be Killer Lessons. I asked Bhakti how she has been creative during Corona, and she told me recipes. She's gotten a whole slew of recipes and was waiting on them because she was too busy, and said, you know what, there'll eventually be time, and Corona has given her the time to experiment. Hopefully none of those were a killer lesson, but we will find out. Bhakti.
Before I start, am I audible? People who are close to me say that I have this weird hobby. It's also the reason my mother believes I might have been switched at birth. One of my favorite hobby is true crime. I just love reading about criminology, researching about them, and if I find an unsolved mystery, you know why I couldn't submit the assignment that way. So recently, I managed to watch a show on one of my favorite cases, the Unibomber. I won't bore you with the details, but for 17 years, this guy would send bombs in mail packages, and when the receiver would open these packages, boom, it would explode, and this would cause fatalities and casualties. But in 1995, I happened to be born, and I would like to believe that had something to do with this case. So in 1995, the Unabomber decided to send a manifesto to major newspaper outlets and asking them to publish it so that he could stop the bombing. The FBI decided to go ahead and publish it in the hopes that someone will recognize his writing, and that's what eventually got him caught. Plus, I was born. This manifesto is called Industrial Society and Its Future. I have managed to read some of it because I'm lazy and I'm more interested in the crime itself. But it's about how technology has crippled humanity and why we should reject it. Technology has made our life so much easier. Civilization has improved significantly, and the quality of life is so much better compared to, let's say, 70 years ago. But we can't deny the fact that it has its downfall as well. As a computer science student, I'm required to code certain problems. And as my semester progresses, these problems become more challenging. So one day, I found the code for the problem I was trying to solve online, and I took the easy way out. I looked up the code, then started coding, which made the problem so much easier and not challenging at all. I repeated this step a couple of times, and my threshold for giving up reduced significantly. I'm pretty sure many of you have gone through something like this similar experience, because today we are blessed with this magical tool called the internet. It will answer pretty much anything we want. What's the temperature today? Is it finally safe to go outside? Was this answer provided by a scientist or a politician? The point is, we are way too dependent on internet these days. Now imagine, you're going on a train and you lose your cell service. You have no option but to rely on your brain for anything you encounter. For all its benefit, the internet can encourage a habit of laziness within us. A study from Harvard states that when we are dealing with a difficult problem, we are more likely to rely on the internet than ourselves. I found this fact on the internet. It also states that when we have future access to information, we have lower rate of retention for the information itself and higher rate of retention for where the information is stored. And this is not just for the computers. This is true for all the devices we use, such as washing machine and the cars. I'm pretty sure the people who own cars here have used it to drive some of the smallest distances they could have traveled, when instead you could have just walked to those places. It sounds like a brilliant idea to just ditch your car, walk the places you want to visit. That way, you're exercising your body, you curb pollution, and you become more aware of your surrounding, which in turn helps for a healthier lifestyle. But if I had to go to Rochester Public Marketplace to buy some fresh produce, I am not going to walk such a long distance, obviously. So we do need our cars. Similarly, we do need our washing machine and we do need our internet. So how do we achieve that balance without losing our critical thinking capability? Don't worry, folks. I found the solution. And guess where? On the internet. Whenever you're encountered with a difficult problem, first and foremost, have the confidence that you will be able to solve it. Step 2, write down all the approaches you have taken so far, because sometimes it's just a different perspective you need to get to the result. But if you're still stuck, try it for 15 more minutes and then you can ask for help. I think this is a wonderful approach because you're using your brain but not wasting too much time on it. The internet is a powerful tool, but we cannot let it reduce our thinking capability and instincts to solve a problem. As James Clear says, every action we take is a vote to the type of person we wish to become. Not single instant will transform our beliefs, but as the vote builds up, so is your identity. So what identity would you like to build? Do you want to be that lazy person who uses Alexa to ask how not to procrastinate? Outsourcing everything to the machines around you? Or would you like to be an independent problem solver for whom the internet is just a tool? I'm trying my best to be the latter and hope you guys do, Mr. Toastmasters.
Absolutely wonderful, Bhakti. Now we are going to take 1 minute to provide love. Well, we'll call it love chat. You can send a direct message to Bhakti telling her about what you liked about her speech. Madam Timer, can we get 1 minute? I tell you what, Bhakti, I'm so lazy that now I use the internet to give my speeches as well.
I have not been timing. Sorry, I forgot about that. I was just writing a note to Bhakti.
Everyone give me a thumbs up if you are all done. I see enough thumbs up. We shall continue, and our next speaker will be Gaurav. Evaluating Gaurav is Matthew Mack. Can you explain what his project is tonight?
Sure. Gaurav is giving a speech. Not sure what pathway or project, but he told me that he wants to work on sharpening his storytelling and making it even more dramatic and engaging. So I know that Gaurav's speeches are already dramatic and engaging, so we're going for more. And we're looking for storytelling. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Matt. very curious how Gaurav is going to enhance his storytelling because he is a very great storyteller already. Additionally, I asked him how he's been using his creative forces during Corona, and he answered, avoiding some of his roommates while sliding cheese through the underside of a door with others. And then he said, weird stuff, don't ask about it. And then he gave me his title, Weird Things Man. Weird Things Man, Gaurav.
Can you all hear me?
Oh my gosh, look at that.
Okay. Just give me 1 second. Can't see myself. Is that Wayne? No. Okay. 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 These are weird times, man. Weird things going on. I thought I was the third speaker, but apparently I'm the second one. Weird times for sure. Last week I thought I was having a heart attack. Yep. Or gas, but it is probably heart attack. That's what I thought at the time anyway. Until I had my doctor's appointment and they told me it was probably a nerve getting pinched because my arm was giving me shooting pains. And by doctors, I mean Matt and Kelly. And by appointment, I mean a very late text after 11 p.m. Thankfully that they were very cool, like cucumbers. And because at my end, I was reciting my last will and testament. Or tried to. I didn't have much to give away. So I just kind of fished around in the couch and just, may you find the other half. So last week I was having a heart attack. Weird times, right? I should have called an ambulance. But even during these times, the anxiety of calling an ambulance, not with me. Anyway, some other weird things that have been happening is I have been looking out the window a lot, staring off into the distance. Or every time I see a dog walker walking their dogs, I would point to the dogs, gesticulate widely. The dogs are delightful, very cute, very funny. The people, on the other hand, seemed very disturbed to see a man in various states of undress pointing towards them. Weird things. One of my flatmates, I've seen him go through the whole credits of the Marvel movies, waiting for the end credit scene to come up, just because he has too much time on his hand. I offered him to, you can skip forward. There's a forward button on this. And he said, nah, just let it be. These are just some of the examples of things that have been happening with me over the past few weeks. But these things could have gone in two ways if I was alone. I'm very blessed to have three other people that I live with. And in every single situation, they have been there. I don't realize it at that moment, but if my friend wasn't there when I was having a heart attack, I would have felt very miserable, very lonely, and very scared. If I didn't have Matt and Kelly to answer my text, I would have probably called my parents and told them that I'm done. It's a very scary world. I might say it's weird, but it's very scary too. I graduated last week with in my master's of computer science degree, and now we go into the world of unemployment. I graduated to unemployment, and again, it's a very weird place to be in because of the conditions. It's very hard to find a job right now. But again, this situation can go two ways. One, I could think about it a lot and be very scared, but I'm not, because I'm not alone. I have my friends who offered to refer me to their respective companies, even though there is a hiring freeze. And I also have my family. You know what my mom did? My dad said, I'm thinking of buying a piece of land. And if you don't find any job, you can come back and work on it. Just send me a resume. Apparently, I am next in line after Billy the Ox. funny stuff, you know, when you have support from your friends and family, it's very easy to get by with these times. So this speech wasn't aimed at becoming anything. I just wanted to underline the fact of how important it is that you're surrounded by your friends and family in these times, especially for me, someone who's, you know, very impatient on occasions, to be surrounded by these people of support me all the time. And even like back home with my parents being very scared about, you know, the situation in USA getting worse and worse. But every time they ask me, are you scared? Are you okay? Do you want to come back home? You know, there are emergency flights. I just say, no, I'm good. I have people I can rely on. Look at this. I texted a doctor last night, you know, stuff like that. So that's it. I didn't have much thought into this. I just wanted to underline the fact about the importance of having friends and family during this time, and, you know, taking it easy, not getting scared. Things can go both ways. You know, these are weird times, but weird times test the humankind. So that's it. Thank you.
No, Gaurav, thank you for sharing your weird times. Honestly, probably the most interesting TV since for the last 8 weeks or so. Madam Timer, can we get a minute on the clock to send Gaurav some love notes? We do have a third speaker tonight, and he is stepping into the arena ready to go, and that would be Preetam. Evaluating Preetam tonight will be Mami. Can you explain what project he will be working on?
Hello, everyone. Preetam tonight is working on the presentation mastery pathway. He'll be delivering a speech on the storytelling. He will try through this speech to connect with the audience using storytelling.
Thank you, Mami. I asked Preetam how he's been using his creative forces during Corona, and as someone who drinks his own urine, I expected something very interesting. What I got back was talking to people and building a business network. So it actually is very interesting because of the different people you get to talk to, but I was a little underwhelmed, Preetam. His speech title tonight is Where Are You Going? Where Are You Going? Preetam Padar.
When I was in my 8th grade, I got my first vehicle. It was red in color, it was very fast, and it was designed in Italy. You might be wondering, I had brought a Ferrari or a Lamborghini from Italy. And you are wrong. What I had got was a bicycle that was designed in Italy. After a year of nagging to my father, Dad, I want a bicycle. This year I have got good grades and you have to buy me a bicycle. 1 year of that and I finally got my bicycle in my 8th grade. And when I got my bicycle, a whole new world opened up to me. I found out that I could take my bicycle and reach distances I could not do on my feet. I would take my bicycle through the narrow alleys of Kolkata and take them to my school to meet my friends, to my private tuition classes after school. So with my new vehicle that I had found, I also noticed that I could go anywhere. And I developed a curious habit. When I would come back from my tuition classes or my school, I saw other people riding bicycles. Kolkata is a very flat city and most people ride bicycles. While coming back, I would randomly pick some person riding a bicycle and start following them. Throughout their journey, anonymously, silently, a student studying in the 8th grade would be following them and they would not even know. I would keep on following them until they went into a house or stopped somewhere. And with that, I discovered that I was going into a lot of places. But those were not the places where I wanted to go. With this activity in my 8th grade, I realized that I had a vehicle and it did not matter what vehicle I had. Where I ended up depended on whom I followed. If I followed different people, I ended up in different places, no matter if I was riding a bicycle or on foot. So that is something I realized when I was young, that we focus a lot on the vehicles that we are using, but where we end up in life depends on where we are going. Where we are going is dependent on who we are following. I graduated school and I found a new vehicle that opened another new world for me, and that was college. At that point in India, when I was growing up, I had only 3 options. I could either become an engineer, I could become a doctor, or I could become a failure. I chose engineering, which was the most easy path. So when I went to engineering college, I found out that many people were going to the engineering college, using the engineering college as a vehicle to a job, which sounded very boring to me. So I went around going through my college and started asking all kinds of people, all the other students in the college, where are you going? There were some seniors who gave me an interesting answer. They said, well, we are building these machines and we are going to a competition. It's a robotic competition and there's a lot of prize money to be won. I knew where I wanted to go. The problem was I did not know how to make a robot. I thought that, well, I know where I want to go. Now I just need people who want to go with me. So I kept asking around my friends, hey, there's this competition, there are prize money to be won. We'll have a lot of fun making these machines. Do you want to go? Over 2 to 3 months, I went through some people who came to my team. Some people did not show commitment. Some people dropped out. But eventually, after 5 to 6 months, I found the dream team. And the dream team won many robotic competitions, not only in the city, but also around the country. And eventually, we got the reputation that when we walked into a competition, people looked at our team and said, Pritam's team is here. We better not compete. Said, yes, we have reached somewhere. After my engineering was done and I had realized that I could follow someone and I could go somewhere. And I could also take people along with me. I did not know how to maximize that, how to take more people with me. When I found this group called Toastmasters. In Toastmasters, I met Matt, my mentor. Matt was a tall, thin man who came up to me on my first day of the meeting, and I asked Matt, where is this group going? Where are people in this group going? And Matt said, well, Pritam, the purpose of being a Toastmaster is really to influence people. I asked Matt, well, how do you influence people? Matt said, it's about listening to people and sharing what's in your heart. I said, wow, you can influence people just by doing those two things? And I started following Matt in his speeches to Toastmasters, his mentoring me through these Toastmaster speeches. And I learned the skill of influence by following Matt. I was able to influence my wife sitting here to marry me. I was able to influence Xavier as a Toastmaster to join my business team, and also Justin to join my business team. And right now, I am at a place where just by following Matt, I am able to influence people by listening to them and sharing what's in my heart. So friends, I want to stress this point at the end of my speech. We all choose different vehicles, be it engineering, be it spirituality, be it Toastmasters. It does not matter what vehicle we are using. Where we want to go depends on who we are following and who we are taking with us. Where are you going, Mr. Toastmaster?
Thank you, Pritam. That was excellent. Honestly, excellent for the whole lineup. Loved every single prepared speech tonight. And now it is time to send Pritam some love notes. Madam Timer, can we get a minute? I got the nod. One minute is up. This concludes the first section of our meeting. And to transition into the second section, our table topics, we have our table topics master, Alicera Topo. And I asked him the same question of how have you been using your creative forces during Corona? And what Alicera told me was interesting, because he told me that he's actively been trying not to be creative during Corona and has failed because Corona has forced him to be creative. And with that, I hope you have some creative questions, Alicera.
All right. This is the most exciting part of the meeting. Where when you are really scared to death because you don't want to speak, you still don't let that beat you down. You step up and you share what is in your heart with us by making us laugh, cry, or more creative. So who is up? Before we go there, we have our functionaries to help us out, because being too creative and not having boundaries to keep us in check will be a total disaster. So our timer, Sarah, would you please give us the timing rules for the table topic?
Oh, sure. Speaking of total disasters, I tried to do the chat thing and hold the book, but then I can't see the speaker, so I'm sorry, but you're just gonna have to see the book because I need to see your face. So for table topics, you have 1 to 2 minutes. At 1 minute, green dragon. 1 minute, 30 seconds, happiness and yellow. And then at 2 minutes, red love book. And you will have 15 seconds to wrap up.
Thank you, Sarah. Deb, our grammarian, what are the rules for tonight's table topic?
Yes, so the goal of table topics as well is to find a creative way to incorporate the word of the day, muse. And muse, as a reminder, is a person or personified force who is a source of inspiration for a creative artist. So I will throw this up every now and then if you haven't used it yet. And I will also be keeping track of if you use it to get our digital chocolate bar that everyone gets a chance to vote on the folks who stayed within time and use the word of the day.
Thank you, Deb. Who is up? Don't be shy because I will be calling out people. Okay, Kelly. Interestingly, there is no number. Actually, there is a number, but it is in binary. So what is your choice of binary number?
What is binary?
0.
Oh,
1.
okay. 0, 1. Tell us a time where doing the obvious thing didn't really help.
I'm sorry. I can't hear you. Can you say it again?
Yes, sure. Tell us a time when doing the obvious thing or the logical thing to do didn't really help.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. This is a great question about when something obvious to do would be the answer. And I have an example of some things that happened this week. I am trying to potty train a toddler. This is really fun, and I've been inspired to try to be a muse in this as my daughter does not tell me when she has to pee, but decides to sit on the toilet for 20 to 30 minutes and then stand up and pee, or run around the house, sit on the toilet again, and then get on the couch and pee. So the obvious thing would be to go to the bathroom on the potty. But what's more fun than going in your pants or peeing on the floor or going on the couch? This seems to be the method of her madness, and perhaps I was like that. So I'm getting retribution for what I was when I was a kid, I suppose. But I know it will get better. This will not last forever. And someday she will do the obvious thing and make the obvious choice to sit on the toilet and pee. So I will continue to try to be muse I will continue to do that and persevere in the difficult potty training world. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Interesting, Kelly, for sharing. So a heads up for those yet to be parents. Who is next? Oh, it seems like I'm seeing everyone's raising their hands. Okay, that's interesting. So then I'll got to choose one. Rachi. Pick a binary number.
1. Zero.
Okay, valid choice. Tell us a time where you were so creative that your creativity pushed you to be even more so.
She muted. Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Sorry about that. Creativity and I have never been so good friends, but now that you say it, it's actually happening this week that we are to turn in our final exams for students. And because I teach physics and we cannot really take final exams for physics the way I would want them to take final exams with all the cheat sheets and formula sheets and make them forced to solve all the numericals and define the force, energy, potential, whatever you can think of. I had to be creative. So I thought of an idea after looking at several different alternative assessments over the internet. So my muse when it comes to creating lesson plans is researching over the internet and finding random things so that I get inspired of making up my own thing. And I came up with the idea of my students having a conversation with Sir Isaac Newton, who has now had dementia or Alzheimer's or something that he's forgetting everything that he's done in physics. And he is asking them questions like, okay, so I saw a rainbow in the sky. What was that about? Okay, so I see this spoon and sometimes I see myself inverted and sometimes I see myself enlarged. How does that happen? And then my students have to answer that. And since morning, I have been working on that and I couldn't get enough of it. And I'm enjoying just answering my own self. Back to Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you for sharing. And that reminds me of one of our famous professor during Halloween. He comes in class and says, he said someone suggested to him to put up an exam as for a present from Halloween, an exam that even he himself couldn't solve. He said, how evil would that be? Interesting. So who is next? Oh, that's really interesting. Because you were the next person on my list.
Pallavi. Hi, everyone. It's really
Hi.
cool this evening.
So pick a number in binary.
Okay, 0.
Wow. Why do I only hear zeros and ones? Okay, good choice. Valid choice.
Okay, so
Tell us one thing that the corona pandemic push you to be creative on and that you think will be really useful once this whole thing is over, and how are you planning to use it?
So yeah, this whole subject of creativity views is very personal to me because I'm a designer and an artist. I'm in visual communication design. So this whole subject is very personal to me. Yeah, so this Corona time, I think this has given me definitely, it has been an advantage and a disadvantage. Advantage, why? Because I have got more time to think over my projects, to work on it with greater perspective, to have like more in-depth look into what I'm doing, what I'm not doing, and also find new ways and new sources of inspiration and muses. So yeah, this Corona time has been a great source of inspiration for me personally because I have got more time to individually put more effort into my projects, to have more of understanding how to work virtually with people you would have had you had like the in-person classes. And I think the whole, so because everyone is going creative, like being creative in this period, it's especially challenging for me being a creative person overall. How do I make it more creative? I don't know about that because like I've been doing all the creative work so much in my projects that I really don't want to be creative anymore. I just want to be not creative for some time. And I think this is the time that I chose to be not creative and just like, just do nothing, just go into nothingness, just give myself some break. And I think that would help me to be further more creative when when things get better or when things open up or whatever. But yeah, I mean, for this, for some of, or at least some time, I chose not to be creative for some time because that's what life demands of me when things are normal, when things are just like going as they are supposed to be. So yeah, so, and using this Corona time, I would just suggest everyone to be like positive about what's happening. I know people have been really helpful and supportive of each other. I would recommend and I would like uh, suggest everyone to remain the same and be helpful to each other as they are right now. I'm very glad to have 3 people, as I said, I think someone said there in the speeches, to have them with like you. I would have died alone here. So yeah, I'm really grateful that I have people around me and we enjoy and we share in our happiness or whatever like problems we have. Yeah, thank you.
It looks like we are in the same boat, trying not to be creative. It didn't work for me though, so. So do we have another volunteer? Yes? Oh, okay, that's great. We do, and I see everyone's hand up. That's awesome. Okay, Ajita. A binary number, please.
011.
Oh, I love that. Great. Choice validated. What is one thing that you have learned during this Corona time when the extraterrestrial aliens have come? What is one of your most important thing that you could be contributing to our invasion? That's what we want to hear next, but it should be in a creative manner. If not, you will not be part of the selection. Ajita.
Can I ask you to repeat that again?
Oh my God. When we, the aliens, we come into Earth, what is one skill that you have developed that you think could be useful to us? and we want your answer in a creative manner. Thank you, Ajita.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. One skill which I think would be useful when we land as aliens on this earth would be to learn how to convert all the plants to water. Because I feel that there are way more plants than there is usable water. So one thing, since I'm looking outside the window and I see a lot of plants, that's the only thing I could come up with. Mr. Table Topics Master, I think that's how much creative I can be today.
Thank you, Ajita, for your answer. Madam Grammarian, did everyone use the word of the day?
No, Ajita didn't.
Oh, Ajita, you didn't use the word of the day. Mr. Timer, oh, Madam Timer, sorry. Was everyone within the time limit?
I know gender is difficult for aliens, so I'll forgive you. We had 3 speakers within the time limit. Well, you can't see that I'm looking at you. I'm sorry, I don't actually know your name. Chitra and Bhakti's roommate. You were over time.
Sorry.
Oh, was that the report? Okay. Oh, my bad. So we have what do we? Yes, we have Ruchi. And who else?
And
Kelly.
Kelly too.
Oh, Kelly too, yes. My bad. So Ruchi and Kelly. So please send in your votes. And with that, I return the comments to the Toastmaster.
Thank you, Alistair. I always forget how much fun you are until you host something like Table Topics. Definitely not the kind of questions I was expecting. I very much appreciate they use binary as the number choice as well. So that concludes the second section of our meeting. And for our third section is the evaluation section. And to lead us is my mentor, Alex Turner. I asked him, how does he use his creative forces during Corona? The first answer he gave me was being creative about keeping people housed, which is inspiring in itself. But the one that I really loved was being creative, making Albanian pie. And let's see if I can pull up quickly a picture of Alex making Albanian pie. And we have Deb there as well.
I just ate it. That was my creative addition.
Oh, I see. Thank you for your honesty there. And I talked to Alex, and he said for Thanksgiving, or post-Thanksgiving, we're going to do a post-Thanksgiving Albanian pie, which I'm very excited for. And now on to Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our most welcome guest. This is the part of the meeting where we get a chance to give feedback. Now, if we didn't get feedback, we would just be a bunch of people staring at our screens, speaking into the void. But we get feedback, and that means that we can get better at staring at our screens and speaking into the void. Because it just doesn't feel like there's people out there, even though I know that there are. I can make eye contact with you by looking at a weird black square at the top of my computer. Can you tell that I'm ready to see people in person very soon? I would love for that to happen. So to give feedback throughout our meeting, we have a couple of evaluators who have evaluated the speeches, have prepared evaluations for each of our speakers. Our first evaluator evaluating Bhakti's speech will be Hassan. So please help me welcome Hassan.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Hello, everybody. Hello, Bhakti. It was a pleasure listening to your speech, Bhakti. You decided to deliver the same speech than previously, which is about something we usually do, like finding answers to our questions on internet. So first of all, I would like to say that I like the fact that you decided to stand up to deliver a speech, which is much more better for gestures, because you wanted me to evaluate you on the gestures. And I like the fact that you use your hands like to convey the message you were delivering. Like when you say rely on your brain, so you use your two hands to do that. I like that. You also wanted me to evaluate you on vocal variety. Vocal variety. I think it was also effective. I like, for instance, when you're talking about explosion, you say boom. This is also good. So in your previous speech, you were asked like to have a better use of pauses, and I noticed that you did it better with this speech. For instance, when you ask a rhetorical question, you give us time to think about the question before answering the question by yourself. Also, when I like that you had also used humor in your speech, and you give people like a time to laugh a little bit before continuing speaking. About the pacing, I think you did better. You didn't move like conversely from the right to the left, like in your previous speech. But still, you were standing like on the same place when you were talking. While, for instance, you should have taken a step forward when talking about an important point, or moving on the right or the left when you are moving to another one to another one. This is something you can probably improve for your next speech. And I also notice that you deliver your speech, I think, in less than 6 minutes, while you have up to 7 minutes to do it. So you could have taken the time like to elaborate your conclusion, which I found like you rush a little bit to conclusion. But the overall appreciation for the speech is good. I think you incorporated the feedback from the previous one about the vocal variety, the use of pauses, also pacing. And I look forward to listening your first speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hassan, for that creative evaluation. Our next evaluator, evaluating Gaurav's speech, will be Mac. Let me welcome Mac.
All right. Mr. General Evaluator, Toastmasters, guest, and especially Gaurav. I apologize in advance for screaming in the background. She's in rare form. Gaurav, thank you so much for making us laugh in this time of where we need to laugh. As always, we can count on Gaurav to put smiles on our faces and maybe even belly laughs in our bellies. And this was I really appreciated this speech. And Gaurav, it was very heartfelt. You had your message was, with others, it's not so bad. With others, what was going to be scary is I'm fine. And I thought you had a lot of particular strengths too, other than those broad things. You used good specific examples, and you talked about people in the club, me. That was fun. When you speak about people that everyone knows, everyone connects with you because we know them. And I definitely was paying attention because you were talking about me, and I remember the text at 11 at night. Oh, there we go, go back. And so that was really good stuff to connect with us. You made us laugh. You talked about people in the club that we all can relate to. Very, very relatable. Your tone and your body language and everything is always very approachable and easy. Excellent. A couple things to work on. First of all, I think we all love The Lord of the Rings. I love Minas Tirith and was transfixed as soon as I saw that behind you. It's distracting a bit, especially if you're disappearing into it. So the backgrounds are great. They have a place. I think if you're giving a speech, it's probably more distracting or confusing. Like that doesn't have anything to do with what you're saying. It's really fun though. But maybe rethink backgrounds. And I think the other big thing for you to work on, Gaurav, is preparation. And so being in a pathway, having a pathway, having this be a project in a pathway means you're sort of preparing more. And in general, you're so talented, you can't easily give speeches off the cuff. And I think then you could go very far. The next steps for you have to do with really maximizing mentorship and preparing and being really prepared. And then you'll always give a good speech. It will always be funny. It will always connect with us. We'll always love it. But for you to consider your own journey, what is the purpose and the journey that you're on, and to really ask if that's something you're considering is really getting better. So that would be the biggest thing I think to work on. But thank you so much for us laughing. And with that, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Matt. For our final evaluation, we will have Mami evaluating Pritam's speech, stepping in at the last minute. So thank you, Pritam, for that. And thank you, Mami, for being willing to evaluate a pro speaker. Let me welcome Mami.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and especially Pritam. Thank you very much for taking us through this journey today again. We all know you are a very seasoned public speaker. You can always creatively use stories to make your speeches even more captivating and interesting for the audience. And today you did it again. You talked about a topic that is common to everyone. Where are you going? We always have vehicles, and we sometimes have in our minds where we want to go, but how to connect the 2 points. From where we are to where we want to go, though we may have different vehicles. Where you excelled very well, I can point out 3 things. First, that was the introduction. You started with a story using a very descriptive language. I was even asking myself, what is it talking about? And then you said, this is the bicycle you were talking about. And it made very captivating, the introduction. The second thing was also your ability to use the humor in your speeches. Sneakingly following strangers because they're just riding their bikes in Calcutta. That was really very interesting in your speech. And the third thing that you did well was the rule of 3. You used it multiple times. First, talking about the vehicle, your bicycle in India, the college as a bicycle, also Toastmasters as a way of being able to impact people and to know where you're going. Even when talking about the college options that you had there, alternative you had there, you talked about being either an engineer or a doctor or a failure. So rule of three again was very interesting there. So as you use the vehicle as a metaphor in your speeches, I was expecting you to consider also Toastmasters as vehicle. I didn't hear that part. I think that's an area of improvement. And also the vocal variety. I know it may not be easy with this online environment to use vocal variety properly, but that is something also you could better use. And if you want to go even further and improve your speech to go beyond expectation, you could use more gestures, stand up and imitate some of your actions. Mr. General Evaluator, back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mami, for that evaluation of Pritam's speech. We're now going to move into some specific evaluations that we get from our functionaries. They're looking at very specific portions of your speech, and they're going to give you feedback on that. And if you want to get more specific feedback from them about their notes, you can reach out to them specifically through chat, but they will give us general reports. And this kind of specific feedback, in addition to your evaluations, can help your speeches get out of this world.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So to get us out of this awkward, terrible joke territory, we're gonna have our counter, Chitra. Give us some counter reports.
Hi everyone. It was my pleasure to be an counter today. One for me. So the speakers, Bhakti had a few multiple R's and double words, and Gaurav had a fewer ums and R's, and Pritam had 2 R's. In the evaluation section, Hassan had 2 R's and a double word. Mami had just 1 R, and Matt had a couple of R's and ums. If you want a detailed report, contact me. And thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Chitra. We also had someone looking out for our grammar and rhetorical language, also known as flowery language. That's our grammarian. Please help me welcome Deb Turner.
Hello, yes. Just can't even, okay. All right, so overall, I think we had some excellent uses of grammar. Oh my gosh, I have to get myself out of these bad jokes. Oh, I miss people too. I'll start with Bhakti, our first speaker. Bhakti, I loved your end statement where you said every action we take should be a person you want to become, and I'm hoping to be the latter. I hope you do too. Something maybe to consider with this end of line phrase is to find a way to have it rhyme. So I'm hoping to be the latter, hoping you can, I don't have the rhymey language because I'm not as flowery as my husband across from me is. But something to think about as your last ending statement that will kind of ring in people's ears and minds and stay in their hearts. I also noticed too, you expressed bombs in the mail packages. Usually it's just bombs in the packages. Small thing. And manifesto. I think it was, for whatever reason, a little challenging to say it like manifesto. I think you're saying manifesti. And I may be mishearing that because my audio and the corniness sitting across from me is very deafening. Next is Gaurav. You had a lot of fun things to say. I'll buy a piece of land. If you don't find a job, you can work on it. Send me a resume. particularly hilarious part of your speech. Preetam was also chock full of excellent things, but what I noticed at the end was it does not matter what vehicle you're using, it depends on who you're following and taking with you. Excellent use of tying in all those pieces of your storytelling into one simple sentence. Kelly, method to her madness. I'm sorry, Eden's crazy. She's a little crazy. Alex, we would just be a bunch of people staring at our screens into the void. Excellent way of explaining our current situation and evaluations. And then Mac, belly laughs in our bellies. Excellent use of, I don't know what the technical term is, to be very honest with you. I obviously need to grow in this area. But thank you everyone for sharing your stories and for hearing my feedback.
Thank you, Madam Grammarian. Our last report will be coming from our timer, and it's important to keep everything on time because sometimes if a boring speech goes on too long, it can be like watching grass grow. But all of our speakers were well on time. Let's hear it from our timer, Sarah.
Alex is correct. All of our speakers were within the time, as were our evaluators. However, Preetam, you were pretty close. You had 8 seconds left. And Matt, it's an improvement. You were within the time, but you were pushing the edge there too. That's all.
My jokes apparently were so bad that I briefly got kicked out of the meeting there. But here I am, and I'm going to wrap us up with a general evaluation of the meeting. And this has been a terrific meeting. The speeches in particular were wonderful. It just an perfect example of what Tigertales Toastmasters is. The speeches that we had, they're all about their personal stories that have a message that can help us improve. And that's whether it's the value of friends or the value of making sure you're working your brain muscles and working on doing things yourselves and not just letting the computer do it for you. Or who are you following and where are you going? Freedom's message, all wonderful messages, all things that can help us in our everyday lives. And it's just what makes Tigertales Toastmasters what it is. Our evaluations as well, each of them had the everything that makes a good evaluation, that specific, direct, positive, encouraging feedback. Those are the kinds of things that make Tigertales what it is, that's what makes us better. And so I was so encouraged by this meeting today. It just felt like at different moments, and it's probably just the fact that we're on a video call, but it just feels like the energy is so hard to keep up. And it takes silliness like backgrounds and Alicera's creativity to lift us up out of those doldrums, those video call doldrums, because it is so easy to get into the zone of, all right, this is my class, and I'm watching, and I'm gonna chat real quick to this person, and that kind of creativity helps remind us that this is something that we're doing for fun, this is something that we're doing for each other, and this is something that we're doing to grow and to get better. And so I loved all the things we did to build the energy back up, and I hope that you guys can constantly be thinking of ways that we can spur each other on to stay connected, to keep working on our next speech, stay creative, and keep making Tigertales the place to be, even though we can't actually be there. turn it back to our Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Alex, for keeping it fun and giving us lots and lots of good information over there. To conclude, we have the best part of the meeting because I get to announce the winner of table topics. And can I get a drum roll, please? Virtual drum. The winner is Ruchi. Yay! Prina, make sure she gets the chocolate prize, okay?
I will, yeah.
All right. And to wrap up our meeting, I hand it right back over to our president, Chitra.
Thank you, Xavier. I've been trying to bring in new folks to our meeting, and on that project, I bring in my roommate here, Pallavi. How did you like the meeting?
Oh, I absolutely loved it, and you'll be seeing more of me. I don't know if it's annoying or not, but definitely I'm going to join all the future meetings. I'll try to join at least over the summer first part.
Thank you, Pallavi. So this year of graduation, I know Ajita, Mami, Serial, Gaurav have graduated, and my congratulations to all of them. And 2 weeks from now, I was thinking let's have a graduation party for all of them with their graduation speeches on. What do you guys think about it? Yeah. Okay. All the recent grads, prepare your speeches and be on your graduation robe, and we're having a graduation party in Tigertales 2 weeks from today. I think this will help.
What are we going to receive then? Will there be some cakes, online cakes or things like that?
Yes, please bring in your...
Everyone can put a background of online games.
Other than that, I would like, if anybody wants to give more speeches in the future, please contact the VP Sarah. And if you want to join the club, VP membership, Ala Sarah. And today, Bhakti is going to give a presentation on how to
renew the
membership. Here she goes.
Is that for all?
What's that again, Mami?
Is that presentation for all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless you're quitting the club, which you better not be.
Is everyone able to see the screen that I'm sharing?
Yes.
All right. New seasons means new membership. And I think most of you have their membership ended by April 30th. So I would request those who want to continue with Tigertales, please go ahead and renew it. So here is how you can do it. Firstly, go to our website, that's tigertales.toastmastersclub.org. I'll be sending the link on the chat as well. And this is the home page. This is what it looks like. So for the current members, you can choose the option which says dues, current members renew. Once you click that, you get this page where you have a drop down in which you can select the month from which you want to start the membership. So it will be May, since you're starting from May, but it states May or November. So the amount will be $45. And once you select add to cart, you have two payment options. You can either use PayPal or you can use your card. So if you're using your card, you can use the checkout option, which is present here. And once you do, they'll ask you for your card details, after which your payment will be processed. But if you choose your PayPal account, you can enter your PayPal details, and within PayPal, you can choose whichever option you want. For new members, you can first contact our VP membership, Alasera. He'll guide you how you can join Tigertales. But still, for new members, if you want to proceed with the payment, there is an option called dues new member join, and the steps are pretty much same. It's just you will have some different amount, but it's the same steps that I repeated previously. Other than that, do you guys have any questions? Okay.
So while renewing, do we select April or October, or we choose May or November?
You'll choose May or November because your last membership lasted till April 30th. So your new membership will start from May.
So if I were a new member, then do I choose select the same?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other question, guys?
Can you upload that presentation to our Tigertales drive so that we can use it in the future?
Yeah, sure. I just send the link in the chat.
Are we 100% sure that it's May and not April?
Because while I was renewing the last memberships, it was extended till April 30th because of the current situation. So I don't think you need to start it from April.
Okay. All right. As long as we've put in a few, like if we've paid the dues to Toastmasters International, like sent them on, as long as that's working to keep folks renewed. I just don't want us to get in trouble where we have to pay for an extra month sometime later. So good. I'm glad it worked.
With that, I would like to adjourn the meeting.
Hey.